Welcome back to the deep dive. We've got some really fascinating material today, all circling around a cornerstone, really, of American lit, The Great Gatsby.
F. Scott Fitzgerald. But we're not just doing a plot summary here.
No, definitely not. This dive comes from these reading group notes you shared, focusing specifically on something that runs, well, right through the book, this tension between possession and being.
Exactly. That's the core idea. Our mission, if you like, is to sort of unpack these sources, pull out the key insights, maybe those moments of, enlightenment this discussion sparked.
Right, because it hits on these timeless questions, doesn't it, about what actually gives life meaning. Is it what we manage to get, to possess?
Or is it more about who we are? Our state of being? That's the question.
Okay, so let's get into it. The starting point, obviously, is Gatsby itself. Published 1925, wasn't a huge hit right away, surprisingly.
Yeah, it had this second life, didn't it? With the armed services editions during World War II, suddenly soldiers were reading it everywhere.
And it's just soaked in this atmosphere of chasing wealth, complicated love, and ultimately those dreams just shattering.
And right at the heart of it is Jay Gatsby. His one big driving goal.
Daisy.
But not just winning her over now. The sources really emphasize this point. He wants to possess her. To own that past moment, that idealized Daisy, completely.
Yeah, the material really flags that demand he makes, that Daisy has to tell Tom she never loved him.
Right. It's not just let's be together. It's erase your history, become this thing that I own.
It's almost like she's an object to be acquired, a very transactional way of looking at it.
And what's so powerful in these notes is how they immediately contrast Gatsby with someone totally different. Enoch Arden.
From the Tennyson poem. The sailor who comes back after years lost at sea.
Exactly. Lost for years. Everyone thinks he's dead. He finally makes it back home.
And finds his wife, Annie. She's remarried.
Yes, remarried his old friend, Philip. And they're happy. They have a family. You can imagine the scene.
Oh, wow. So the impulse would be to burst in, right, reclaim everything, possess what was lost.
That's what you'd expect. But Enoch, he makes this almost unbelievable choice. He sees their happiness, sees their peace.
And decides not to interfere.
He decides not to reveal himself.
Yep.
The source even quotes him. Let me not be known. Their peace must not be broken. It's pure self-sacrifice for their being.
That's quite something. And the contrast in their endings then is just stark. Gatsby, chasing possession.
Ends up with that incredibly lonely funeral. Hardly anyone there. The source mentions Nick just waiting, hoping. It's just emptiness.
While Enoch Arden, who chose their being over his own claims.
He's mourned by the whole village. His funeral is a huge testament to a life of, hidden sacrifice, but one that left this deep respected legacy. It's possession leading to tragedy versus leading to communal value.
It hammers home that difference, the pursuit versus the sacrifice.
Which connects beautifully to that Eric Fromm quote the sources bring up.
Oh, right. What was it again?
We should aim at richly being, not at having much.
Simple, but it cuts right through, doesn't it?
It really does. Possessions are temporary, maybe even destructive if you chase them like Gatsby did. But being, that feels more lasting.
Exactly. Cultivating who you are, your capacity for love, connection, that creates a different kind of richness, a value that endures.
The sources then use poetry again, which I thought was really insightful. Going back to Tennyson, but also looking east.
First, Tennyson's Flower in the Crannied Wall. He sees a flower growing in a wall.
And he picks it, right? Pulls it out, roots and all.
Yeah, he plucks it, wants to hold it, possess it, take it apart to understand everything God and man. As he says, it's understanding through dissection, through ownership.
That kind of possessive way of knowing. And then you have the total opposite with the Japanese poet Basho.
Basho's haiku. He just sees a shepherd's purse flower blooming near a fence. That's it.
Just observation. Pure observation. Looking closely by the fence, a shepherd's purse blooms. No need to grab it, analyze it. The enlightenment comes just from noticing its being. Its existence is the whole point.
But it's not just those two poles, possess or observe. The sources bring in Goethe, too.
Right, Goethe's poem offers this fascinating middle path. He sees a flower, wants to pick at that same initial impulse to possess its beauty.
But he hesitates.
The flower seems to ask him not to let it die. So instead of just taking it or just leaving it, Goethe does something else. Carefully digs it up, roots and all.
And replants it.
Replants it in his own garden. The source translates it beautifully. Replanted it in my lovely garden. In its quiet new spot, it blooms now always and will never wither.
So it is a form of possession, taking it home, but it's a possession that preserves its being, allows it to keep flowering, keep creating value.
It's like finding a way to have that actually supports being. It's quite profound, that balance.
And this idea of focusing on being rather than just acquiring, it ties into that Siddhartha quote mentioned in the notes.
Oh yes, learning does not exist. Only enlightenment exists. It is within me, within you, within all beings.
Which reframes everything, doesn't it? Learning isn't just grabbing facts, possessing knowledge. It's about discovering what's already inside you, realizing your own potential, your being.
Mm-hmm. And that lens makes Gatsby's story even more tragic. All that effort focused outward on possessing Daisy, possessing the past.
And it leads to that ultimate emptiness. It just highlights how vital it is to actually cultivate, your inner self, the value of being.
What was he really building inside himself? All the external stuff, the parties, the wealth. It was all just a tool to get Daisy. Where was the genuine connection? The growth of his own being.
Which, of course, takes us straight to those final unforgettable lines of the book. The sources pull them out.
He had come a long way. So we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past. Just iconic.
And the interpretation in the source material sees this as that constant clash, right? Between civilization moving forward, often tied to getting stuff, possessing.
And our own romantic dreams, our ideals, often pulling us back towards something lost, something we want to reclaim from the past.
Gatsby's tragedy, then, is that his whole dream, his whole possibility, was chained to possessing that past. He's rowing like mad, but that current just pulls him back.
Yeah. And the image makes you think, how do we handle that current? Do we let the desire for possession, the pull of the past, just exhaust us, keep us fighting against it?
Or can we find a way, maybe by focusing more on being, to use the tools we have, civilization, progress, whatever, to actually chart a new course, one that's about growth, not just acquisition?
It's not just literature either. The sources give these really powerful real-world examples, people who truly embodied this value of being.
Like Nelson Mandela. 27 years in prison. Talk about deprivation of possessions and freedom.
Absolutely. But he used that time for incredible inner work, didn't he? Reading, reflection, strengthening his being. When he came out, he wasn't just a survivor. His very being was this immense force for change, far more valuable than any possession.
And Mother Teresa, actively choosing not to possess things, dedicating her entire life.
Her meaning came entirely from service, from love, from her being there for others.
Yeah.
Very much like Enoch Arden, actually.
Yeah.
That sacrifice creating this incredible legacy.
Steve Jobs is an interesting one, too. Obviously, huge material success.
But the driving force seemed to be more about creation, innovation, right?
Yeah.
Fusing art and tech. Becoming a being who could change the world through ideas, not just accumulate wealth. The impact came from his creative being.
And Frank. Writing that diary while hidden, everything taken away, but her being shines through her words.
Exactly. That testament to life, to hope, just her existence captured on paper becomes this incredibly powerful thing, the ultimate value of being against all odds.
Van Gogh, selling only one painting, a failure by material standards.
Yet he poured his entire being into that art, and generations later we're still moved by it. The value is purely in the expression, the being of the artist.
Martin Luther King Jr. fighting for ideals, equality, justice, love, not for power or riches.
His being, his moral force, that's what inspired millions. The I Have a Dream speech isn't about possessions. It's about a state of being he envisioned for everyone.
And Oprah Winfrey, using her own difficult past, her own story.
To connect, to heal, to inspire. Yes, she achieved success, but the core seems to be that richness of being, sharing her journey to help others find theirs.
So these aren't just abstract ideas. These lives show the real impact of choosing being over having, sometimes through immense struggle.
Right. It shows that where you place your value in what you own or who you are becoming shapes not just your life, but the world around you too.
Which loops back to us, to the listener. The sources pose these questions directly, like the reading group must have discussed. What's your Daisy?
Yeah. Is it something you're trying desperately to possess? Maybe something gone? Or are you trying to cultivate the value of your own being?
How do you strike that balance between needing things in the world and nurturing who you are inside? Are you moving forward or stuck?
In the midst of everything modern life, material focus, what are the values you're really living by?
This whole deep dive, looking through the lens of Gatsby and these other stories, it feels like a really moving reminder. The potential emptiness of just chasing possessions.
And the profound, lasting value that comes from focusing on our being.
It leaves you with that image, doesn't it? The boats against the current. We're all navigating that. Pulled by the past, by what we want, push towards the future, towards who we could become.
And the wake we leave behind, our legacy, it really depends on that choice, doesn't it? Between having and being.
Reading, thinking about these stories, it isn't just about gathering information, possessing knowledge. It's more like a journey, right? Discovering potential in ourselves.
Definitely. So as you reflect on Gatsby, on Enoch, on Mandela, Van Gogh, think about your own journey. How does that tension play out for you, past versus future, possession versus being?
What kind of wake are you leaving?